1. Say yes less often. Let's move on now. Skill number 3 is something that even multi-millionaires and billionaires struggle with to stay. And the sooner you learn the skill, the sooner you'll become a millionaire. The next millionaire skill is learning to say no. Now, this was something that I was amazing at growing up, but kind of as I made my first few millions, you get distractions and you get opportunities. And you start to pile on a little bit more things in your life. But it's so important to stay disciplined and say no to 99.9% of things, because when the right things come up, you want to make sure that you actually have the bandwidth and the space in order to go all in with those opportunities. Learning to say no is one of the best skills you could learn in your life, and especially when you're first starting out. It is so important to learn to say no to your friends. I want to go out and party. Learn to say no to favors. You don't always have to do favors for people. And also, very importantly, learn to say no to certain opportunities. If you've already committed to one and you know that it's the right thing to get you to where you want to get, saying no is a way to have respect for yourself as well as what you're trying to accomplish and whom you're trying to become in life. 2. Create something useful. Hamdi Ulukaya came to the US to study English. One day, he noticed an advertisement selling an old factory. A major dairy company had closed the factory down and sold it for scrap value. This dude took the risk, repaired the factory, and began selling Greek-style yogurt. It became a sensation, and within a decade he became a billionaire just selling billions of boxes of yogurt. In short, if you can sell 10 million people a product, service of $100 in total value over a few years, you could become a billionaire. Is it hard? Of course. Is it risky? Of course. Build a company. This is the hardest way to become a billionaire. We've all heard the saying, if you want to be a billionaire, then help a billion people. Unfortunately, that is a lot harder to do than it appears. Building a startup seems very fun and cool, and has been glamorized by movies such as The Social Network, talking about how Zuck built Facebook out of his dorm room at Harvard and now is a billionaire. Trust me when I say this, being an entrepreneur is probably the hardest way to become a billionaire out there. And most people who start companies that end up being worth $1 billion don't actually do it for that reason. If you want to become a billionaire just to become a billionaire, this is not the way for you. 3. Invest. This is perhaps the only other way out there that an average Joe can become a billionaire without actually starting a company. Now, don't get me wrong, investing is extremely difficult and requires a lot of hard work, discipline, and skill. But it is possible to make $1 billion this way. Now, I'm not talking about something like, oh, you could have invested in Bitcoin in 2010 or any bullshit like that. Here's an example of what anyone can do with the right amount of diligence, hustle, and grit. Network like crazy. Build up your network of like-minded individuals and founders of companies. Constantly be meeting people to expand your network. Go to conferences and events. Start a podcast. Start a blog. Do whatever you can to build a network. You'll need this later. Start evaluating investments. These can start with people in your network that work in startups, right? Or it could be cold calling or using crowd sites like AngelList. Do some homework. Do some research. Do not spend any money just yet. Learn as much as you can about investing in companies by putting the least amount of work into it. If you have any friends that work at VCs, then become their best friend and learn everything you can from them. Once you are confident and ready to put your money at work, and you find what seems to be the perfect deal, then go in for the kill. Make an investment. Or better yet, create a fund or syndicate of like-minded investors to pool together a larger amount of money. Do the first few for free just to earn trust and confidence from your inner circle of friends and family. Once you start gaining some traction, organize a fund structure for the next deal. By this point, you should be confident enough in finding good deals, and your investment sizes will be larger and larger. Now comes the magic of fund management using OPM. Start charging carried interest or a performance fee for your deals. What this means is that if the investment makes 100% for the investor in your syndicate, you get to earn, say, 20% of those profits. Structure it in a way that you don't make money unless they make money first. This will help you in the long run. Rinse and repeat and rinse and repeat. Pretty soon you will have sown enough seed to where your fund down will have grown to a large size, and you'll now begin to start attracting institutional money. The check sizes will get larger and larger, and if you know what you are doing, so will your carry in each investment. Keep planting seeds and keep growing your network and keep sourcing deals. At some point, you'll have an exit or two and be earning a nice carry fee off of it for making all your investors money. Now you have your first golden egg. Take this and double down on the above strategy and keep doing it until you make it to $1 billion. 4. Build a persona. Warren Buffett is everyone's grandpa. He has folksy wisdom like, when hamburgers are cheap, buy them. Why do people buy stocks when they are more expensive? Using this folksy wisdom, he has been an advisor to the CEOs of the biggest companies, presidents, other billionaires, etc. Why be an advisor? To get deals. Part of his persona is to be relatable. He focuses on his small house in Omaha. He never mentions he used to have an enormous mansion in California. He focuses on the fact that his kids will inherit nothing. He doesn't mention he gave them each a $3 billion charitable foundation. With a charitable foundation like that, they can take a salary of tens of millions per year. And because these were set up as charity, when Buffett dies, none of his kids will have to pay an inheritance tax. Nor will Buffett pay the enormous estate tax that every other rich family has to pay because he has pledged to donate the remainder of his money to Bill Gates' charity. I am not saying this is not a generous thing to do. It is very generous. But it does mean I will not listen to what Buffett says about taxes since he has done a very good job at avoiding them. 5. Learn skills that pay the bills. The next skill you need to learn is a high-income skill. Now, this is truly the basis of everything that you want in life, and even better than that, not learning one high-income skill, but learning multiple high-income skills and stacking them together. I mean, you can almost imagine Lego blocks. The more of these high-income skills that you can stack, the more money that you'll make. So when you're looking at something and you're deciding, hey, should I put my time and effort into this? Should I learn this skill? Ask yourself, is this a high-income skill? Is this a skill that will continue to pay me over the years? A couple of examples of high-income skills are learning online marketing, coding, a content creation, sales. Millionaires have a high-income skill that is valuable to the marketplace. Multi-millionaires have multiple high-income skills that are valuable to the marketplace. Now, I know that this is easier said than done, and you might be stuck as to like, hey, where do I actually get started? That's why earlier this year I literally locked myself in this room for 4 full days to get to the bottom of the question, which is, what is the best high-income skill in order to make $100,000 a year online? Now, I actually evaluated all this by creating the money-making matrix. Now what it does, it evaluates all the best business models online. And then it uses data and a very specific formula to assess truly what is the best business model in 2022. 6. Power of compounding. Compounding is not understood by the human mind that easily. We cannot logically absorb how it can amplify the impact by orders of magnitude. For example, if you are 20 years old and start with $10,000 in saving and deposit $10K yearly, and if you manage to get a 20% return every year, you will be billionaire in 54 years at the age of 74. The majority of these would be earned in the last 3 years of this duration. Moreover, things go crazy if you started early. Let's say if you started at the age of 10. You will be billionaire in 54 years at the age of 64. Most people fail to understand that compounding is more about time than anything else. The more your patience waits, the more you'll be rich. 7. Teach the mental nexus. Here falls the shadow. Rational people do not become entrepreneurs. Like combat officers, one is constantly making critical decisions on partial information. One has to take steps without being able to see if there is support there. One must taste failure time and again and be inspired by it. One must be armed with a variety of rationalizations for continuing on despite doubt, buffeting, adverse opinion. Every successful new business gores someone's ox, and those people react in nasty ways. The faces you see each day are now depending on you to make payroll. Pediatric oncologists must be mentally tough to deal with the suffering of others. Entrepreneurs must be superhuman to deal with the tragedies they themselves can be the authors of. Trick is, you can't teach that mental nexus if you have not lived it yourself. If you haven't, then apprentice them to someone who has.